Go. My name is Haziq Ali, and I want to welcome you to what could be an incredible evening for you. We are living in literally the richest country on the planet. From a capitalistic perspective, it's not even close. People talk about Dubai, they talk about China. Listen, nobody comes close to America. But are we going through some turbulent times? Could you agree with me that maybe times are looking kind of interesting these days? Look around yourself. Last year, 91 million 1099 forms were filed. That is the most in history. Last year, we saw Uber introduce autonomous vehicles. Now, that's going to be rough for 250,000 Americans that either do Uber or Lyft on the side to earn a living. We're watching technology just take over the planet. But look around yourself. Are there things to be grateful about? If you had to be grateful, if you had to put yourself in a position to feel excited, could you do it? What would that look like? What would that feel like? How would you be breathing right now, right? Don't you feel that if you start to put yourself in a different state of mind, you start to feel a different way? That's because questions control consciousness. So what I want to do is ask you a couple questions. You've already agreed with me that America is the richest country on the planet. But if that's the case, answer me this. Do most Americans have $3,000 put away for an emergency? Right? Would you say that most people you know have 6 months of income saved up, or are they paying this month's bills with this month's money? What about people's debt? Do you feel like most people in this richest country on the planet are happy with their debt load? Or do you find that a lot of times the mama is still paying off her student loans while the daughter is about to start some? But I thought you said this was the richest country in the world. What is it that is blowing people away? Well, believe it or not, the best thing going for us is also the worst thing going for us. And that's the fact that we live in an economy that we call capitalism. The first thing you've got to know about why everybody's jacked up, even when this is the most powerful, abundant country on the planet, is because capitalism is based on ignorance. I can prove it to you. Why do I go and pay a barber like I need to do right now? Why does your lady go and pay a hairdresser? Well, it's because that barber or that hairdresser knows something that you and I don't know. Ladies, am I right? The hairstylist or the barber knows how to cut it. Why do I shop at Walmart? It's because Walmart knows something I don't. They know where to get the milk for cheaper. And the government, because people misunderstand the government. They always say the government isn't here to help me, or why isn't the government helping me? No, the government doesn't care about helping you unless you're an entrepreneur. Watch this. No one's going to step into Walmart's business and say, now, wait a minute, why are you selling him that milk or that flat screen, let's say, for $800 when you only pay $25 in China? No, if I'm willing to pay for it, they're allowed to sell it. That's how you know capitalism is based on ignorance. So I'm talking to you tonight about getting rid of the fear that comes with that ignorance. I'm talking to you tonight about taking control of your economy. Millionaires, our focus is simple. We're going to relieve, and it's threefold, right? The first one is that we've decided that relieving Americans of over $1 billion in debt is a worthy goal. Our second goal is to create $100 million in business income. Now, if you think about it, that's nothing but 100 millionaires working from home. That's $100 million in business income. Think about that for a minute. Our third goal is to create over $1 billion in investment income. Over $1 billion in investment income. What about you owning a piece of an apartment complex? Are people going to stop needing places to live anytime soon? What about you owning a piece of the shopping plazas that's, while they still exist, right? You can own a piece of history. As we all know, Amazon is now delivering packages in 7 to 15 minutes when you push a button, right? They've already debuted it in certain markets. Of course, it's going to be absolutely inescapable in a few years, right? In a few months, maybe. But what about you owning a piece of where the smart are putting their money? Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't it make sense that if you put your money in with the people that know what they're doing, then your money's going to rise just like theirs? Could it be true that God isn't punishing us because of race or where we come from or age or sex or who's in office in the White House? That maybe it's all about our education level? What if the only security is skill set? Well, if that's the case, then you're going to be really happy about what I had to discuss with you this evening, because my econ is here to teach you the skills you need to become wealthy. But here's the best part. Unlike a college where you have to put yourself into $40 to $50 to $70 to $120,000 worth of debt, here you can get paid to learn it. So what do? We focus on what we call the 369 financial transformation. The 369 financial transformation is amazing because Dave Ramsey just now released a statistic that pointed out the horrifying fact that 7 out of 10 people in America don't even have $1,000 put away for a crisis. $1,000. So imagine when I take you through this 369, what your life is going to look like in a simple 9 months. And that's not saying that this has to take you 9 months. We're keeping it realistic because we know that most people are busy. Most people have jobs they have to deal with. Most people have children that they've got to handle. Most people have multiple jobs because they're trying to pay off their loans and still have a life. We get it. So we space it out to 9 months to make it so even the most busy people that can hear my voice or see my face can participate. Even you can have a piece of this American dream that we were told about. But it's like no one seems to ever see it. It's like the Loch Ness Monster or Sasquatch. We don't want to be retired when we're so old that the beach isn't fun. So what is the 369? The 369 has to talk about the months. So the first 3 months, then 3 months after that, and then 3 months after that. So here's how it goes. The first 3 months are dedicated to cash flow management. Write that down. Because these are the simple solutions to everybody's problem. Those people are not in rush hour traffic because they're doing charity for the rich. They're there for the money. So what you're about to do is learn how to keep more of that money to yourself. What you're about to learn how to do is use that money to pay for your retirement. What you're about to do is learn how to keep some of this money you're working your butt off to earn to build a legacy. Your ceiling should be your children's floor. Is that true? So what's the 369? So the 3 is cash flow management. The 6 is business income. And then the 9 is in 9 months or less, you're going to have investment income coming in. So what is cash flow? Well, this is one of the most amazing pieces of information that we never learned in high school, and I guarantee you we were smart enough to understand it because they taught us algebra and they taught us trigonometry. And what is 2x equals 6? What is x? X is who cares because you can't even buy a sandwich with it. I mean, unless you're an astronaut. You know, some of you guys are, you get it. But most of us could have used the information I'm about to share with you a lot quicker. So what's cash flow? Did you know that poor people measure their money in dollars, but the wealthy measure their money in time? Well, it's true. But the thing is, instead of calling it time, they call it cash flow. We call it cash flow because that measures the time value of your money. I'll give you a small example. Let's say I make $1 million a year, but I have $2 million in expenses. Well, that means I only have 6 months of cash flow. My money's only stretching till about June, but I have to stay alive until December. So I probably borrow the difference. Welcome to America. But now, on the split screen, give me a school teacher. She makes $80,000 a year, but she has only $40,000 in expenses. Well, she's got 2 years of cash flow. You see the difference? She's doing better than the person that makes $1 million a year. What a concept. And here's the good news. There are only 3 ways to raise your cash flow. There's only 3 ways. The first is lower your taxes. The second is lower your debt. And the third one is lower your expenses. Millionaires, if you do one of those or any combination of the three, the time value of your money begins to expand. Next thing you know, you're in what we call positive cash flow. Now, what is positive cash flow? Positive cash flow is when an abundance of cash saves you money. Now, of course, that's the opposite of negative cash flow, which is where a lack of cash costs you money. I'll give you a small example of that. Let's say I go on the car lot and I want this new charger, right? And the charger costs $20,000. If I walk in there with $15,000 cash, he's going to give me that car. True or true? My positive cash flow just saved me $5,000. Now, let's just say my friend walks in there. They've heard nothing about this. They weren't privy to this information that you're getting for free tonight, right? And so they walked in there and they did what's called finance payments because they had negative cash flow, right? So what happens? Instead of them paying $20,000 for the car, by the time them interest rates are done with them, and that's depending on their credit score, they end up paying $32,000 for the same car that I got for $15,000. Their lack of money costs them money. That's called negative cash flow. It's also the reason that banks made billions of dollars last year in insufficient fund fees. You live in a country where if you don't know, then you owe. You live in a country where they take advantage of you after they train you to do it. You are being designed to be a consumer. You are being designed to eat everything and you can. Listen, our GDP is 70% consumption. That tells you everything you need to know about what the system is teaching you to do. And what you got to understand about this information I'm sharing with you tonight is that the game of money started with language way before it started with gold, way before it started with blocks of salt or heads of cattle. It started with money. The only reason they can convince you to put your money in a savings account, which is a scam, I hate to use the word, but they know you don't know the word inflation. And because they know you don't know the word inflation, they can treat you as a subordinate. And now you just do what you're told and we walk in lockstep. Millionaires, Eskimos have 17 words for snow because snow is important to their life. Well, see, snow is how they trap food. Snow is how they build a house. Well, here in America, our snow is called money. But do you know why you pay a car note, but you pay an electric bill? No, because no one taught you the difference between a bond, a bill, and a note. You don't even know anything about money. So when we start to work on you with your cash flow, you're going to find that some amazing things start to happen. Your conversations are going to start to change with your friends. The way that you look at this tool called money begins to transform. And as we all know, if you shift your mind, you can shift your income. The power of this 369 is just beginning with the first 3 months, though. Yes, we're going to help you adjust your W-4. Do you know 100 million Americans have their W-4 wrong? A lot of times you'll see my friends talking about how you can give yourself a raise without even asking your boss permission. Well, I'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but I've had people's income go up $1,600 a month just from some knowledge. Don't you know that people perish for lack of vision and people are destroyed for lack of knowledge? Well, listen, back in that 2008 recession, the average home was brought into foreclosure over $500. God help them. They could have adjusted their W-4 and saved their home and in a lot of times saved their family. Now, I'm speaking from experience. I lost 2 homes in that recession. It'll never happen again. Why? Because now I'm learning the language of money. So we're going to minimize your taxes. Then and that's going to give you an instant raise, right? But we're going to show you how to do it properly and legally. Next, we're going to lower your debt. Because now that you're getting this extra money on your paycheck, you're not going to fall for the credit card company saying, hey, you know what? Just give us this much. I know you owe this much, but just give us this much. We're going to see that for the scam it is. Why are they asking you for the minimum? Because your debt is doing something called compounding, which is what your investments would be doing if you had any, which Dave Ramsey says 7 out of 10 don't. 7 out of 10 don't have $1,000 in a bank. To repeat a fact. Okay, so what's the third thing we're going to do? We're not only going to lower your taxes, we're not only going to help you lower your debt, but we're also going to lower your expenses. We call one of our strategies the latte factor. Just imagine you take that $5 a day you're spending on Starbucks, which is $25 a week. I'm not judging. But times 4, that's $100 a month. And you invest it with this extra 500. Well, you take that 500, and if you're getting 8% for 15 years, that 500 a month we just showed you how to get in your W-4 will become $173,000 in 15 years. Now, we know people that have been working 15 years and they don't have $3,000. They don't have $300, right? But it's because of lack of knowledge. It's not that they didn't have it. It's just that no one taught them what to do with it when they got it. I'm going to wrap up in a minute, but I want you to really catch this. Once you lower your taxes, your debt, and your expenses, you have more to invest. Just $100 more takes that figure from $173,000 to $200,000 off an extra $100 a month. So we're going to lower your expenses, and then we're going to teach you how to invest it. But let's move on. What is the 6? The 6 is business income. So the thing about business income is that it's mathematically impossible for you to retire just based on earned income. It's mathematically impossible. Inflation is only increasing. The guy in the White House just presented the world's first $1 trillion infrastructure plan. Now, what you got to understand about that is that's going to make inflation skyrocket because we're printing the money out of thin air. It's fairy dust. What you need to know about that then is that you have to have a business. Technology is not just attacking these big corporations. It's attacking the very job you do. Because if I walk in Walmart and now I ring myself up, all those people are in line behind you in the unemployment line or behind your son or daughter in the unemployment line. This is a real threat, and you've got to be thinking about it right now. So business income is where we start teaching you, because when we helped you adjust your W-4, it was because you started your own business. So now when you're conducting business, you're getting 57 cents a mile, 54 cents a mile this year. You're getting to write off portions of your rent. You're getting to write off portions of your mortgage, your utilities. You're getting to write off 100% of your Wi-Fi bill, 85% of your cell phone. Listen, ladies, you wanted those hills anyway. But why not use them to present your business so your uncle pays for them? You know, Uncle Sam. Here's my point. You can do this legally when you have a business. But the business is amazing. That part right there is just the gravy. The business is incredible because you're talking about a man who's just a servant leader. The owner of this company, who I'm blessed and fortunate to call one of my mentors, has been blessed to earn over $600 million. We're talking about having cash flowed $600 million plus dollars. That's $500 million plus another $100 million. So what does that mean to you? It means he can afford to overpay what we call the compensation plan. To put it in terms that anybody can understand, the way this world of home-based businesses works is that finally you're getting paid what you actually earn. How many times have you been at a job and a guy beside you works way less than you do and he brings home the same amount of money as you do? Or how many times have you noticed you work harder than your manager? Well, listen, in this world, or how many times have you noticed your coworkers tell you just enough to do good, just not better than them? Well, in this world, you're getting rid of all of that stigma because here you're in business for yourself and your family, but not by yourself. It's amazing. I don't even call it a business because if you notice in business, you always sacrifice the people so you can rise up. This is more like a war on financial poverty where you sacrifice yourself and that's how you get promoted. You ever notice that? That's what soldiers do. So this is more like a war on poverty and on poverty mindset, and it starts with you and I and this business income. So what if I told you we can put you in position where every 7 people you tell about what I just told you about how to give themselves a raise and all of that, every 7 people equals $1,000 bonus, and here's what's crazy. There's another $500 coming to you just because they feel like it. Just because they feel like it. This month, you're earning close to $2,000 just off telling 7 people if you're the one that told all 7 of them. It's amazing. I don't even want to talk about that so much because this next part is my favorite part. But yes, within 6 months or less, we will have you at an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month in income. If that's something that's appealing to you, it's not hard. I was blessed and fortunate to hit the top of what's called the compensation plan in about 24 days. And I have no experience in this industry. I'm not somebody who brought over all of these teams, or I'm not somebody with a decade of experience. No, I just now heard about this whole industry less than 1,000 days ago. Right? And I was so upset that nobody told me about this fresh out of high school. Do you understand? But the 9 stands for investment income. Do you understand that you're not even in the game until you have money working for you? Listen to me when I tell you, you've got to put yourself in a position where your money is earning, because it earns money 5 times faster than your labor does. You've got to start making sure that you are sowing seed. One of my mentors told me earlier, he was like, man, they always say you reap what you sow. He's like, it's not true. I've never seen you sow a seed and get more seed. You'll sow a seed and get a whole tree. That's investment. You're not sowing seed so you can reap what you sow. You're going to reap a harvest. But see, it starts with you understanding the principles of investments. And you've got to know this, because banks are investing your money every day. They just don't tell you that. They use language. So they don't tell you they're borrowing your money. Otherwise, you say, well, what am I getting out this deal? So what they do instead is they say, we're going to protect it for you. Oh, my goodness. When you start to learn this stuff, you're going to understand how to capitalize instead of get capitalized on in this thing called capitalism. So that's the 369. 9 months or less, you're going to have open your first investment account, be it T. Rowe Price, Edward Jones, Merrill Lynch. You be the judge, but you're going to know exactly what you're doing. You're going to know how to hire that GM for your money. You're going to know how to be the coach. You're going to know how to hire the coach for your money, because you're going to finally be the owner of your money. There are only 3 types of people that heard this information tonight, right? The first type, they're like, man, you know what? I heard what you're saying, Mr. Ali, but hey, I kind of like being broke. It's fun. I get to play this game with myself every night. Like, how am I going to pay the bills this month? I get it. It feels like a movie. If that's you, go ahead, Rocky. I'll play you like, dun, 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 right? I ain't mad at you. The second type of person is like, man, you know what? I'm in it, but I don't necessarily want to tell anybody about it. I just want to learn how to begin building my legacy. If that's you, you're a number 2. It's only $199 to get started. That's a tax write-off. It's crazy. And then it's $34.95 a month. And what's crazy is, I've never seen a school where you have the ability to get paid tuition instead of taking out student loans to pay a tuition. So it's amazing. So if that's you, welcome to the family. You've got mentors that have been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. We're talking about guys that are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, and look like they were at your family reunion or something. I don't know. But okay. And then the third type of person is like, you know what? I'm in. I love everything I heard. I'm in for the strategies. I'm in for the business income. If that's you, you're my type of person. Make sure you reach out to me. I'm here for you. But listen, I love everybody, because fortune favors the bold. And what I want you to understand is that this could be the most powerful time in your whole life if you just decide to take action. This could be the most insane period of growth that you've ever experienced. It just depends what you decide to focus on. I hope and pray that my words were able to touch you and open something up, because my only regret is that I didn't hear about this much sooner. I just don't see what is better than learning the kind of knowledge that you can share, whether it's at your family reunion or whether it's just with your really dear friends, because way too many of us are struggling. And I know they put Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill, and it's so fun, but it wasn't fun when she was going through it, was it? And one of her favorite quotes, one of my most favorite thoughts about her, and I know that wasn't proper English, but like one of my mentors says, I'd rather say I is rich than I am broke. But back to Harriet. One of my favorite quotes from her is when she said, I freed thousands of slaves, but I could have freed thousands more if only they would have known they were slaves. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way like, let's start thinking like we got kings and queens in our blood. And let's stop being like, oh, well, this money has to go to, some Ciroc or Netflix or Comcast, right? Because that's what we've been conditioned to do. We're like little puppies sometimes, where it's like we just take our money and give it away. I have a feeling you're going to change something in you tonight. I have a feeling that because you saw this information, it clicked on a light bulb for you, and I feel so blessed for that. I'm really proud of you. I will see you on the other side, millionaires. And remember, either your mind has to expand to match your goals, or your goals will just shrink to match your mind. May your choices reflect your faith and not your fear. Good night.